So, Adam, first of all, I'm so excited that we are doing this. I will never hide that I'm a huge fan of you building in public. But hey, since you're a busy founder yourself, how much time a week do you invest in your content creation?
Way too much.
Can we be specific?
Yeah. So I can just walk you through what my week is like. I can even share my calendar. You want me to share my calendar?
Yeah, sure thing. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a better, I mean, we're on video, so why not, right? So, um, hold on. Now I just got to share my screen.
The green button.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. Green button, share screen. That's the one. 3, 2, 1. Wait, why is this? Okay, share screen. There we go. And then there. Do you see it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I see it.
Okay.
Oh, am I
So
daddy that time? So nice.
yeah, so this is like I consider this a light week.
Oh, wow.
This has been a very pleasant week for me. Last week was also light. The week actually, this kind of average. Last week was wait, that's next week. Last week was a holiday on Monday. That's the week before. So you get it. I'm the
Mhm.
CEO of 2 tech companies. I have a lot of shit. So Mondays are internal meetings. Now, the only real content creation stuff that happens on Monday is I meet with Alec, my LinkedIn coach, at 3 o'clock for 1 hour. And this is idea generation. We kind of go over what was posted the week before, talk about what worked, what didn't, what's been going on in my work life, and kind of like the goal of it is I'm trying to write 3 or 4 posts a week, and the goal of it is to like have hooks for those posts nailed by the end of that. Um, so that normally happens. Like sometimes it sort of doesn't, and I think about it later in the week. And then there's also this other component that's not directly related to creating content, where it's like my LinkedIn profile, like I get a bunch of connect requests, a bunch of, we do like calls to action, some of the posts that are like DM me if stuff like that. So Alex's partner has like a semi-automated inbox management system, depending on what we're trying to accomplish at the time. It could be we want to do discovery calls with VP level marketers at Series B startups who, so anybody that engages will like hit them up and be like, yo, will you get on the phone with whoever and talk about whatever? So there's strategy around that every week. That's it for that day. Then I try to make Tuesday my content day. When weeks start, it's better if I need to get rid of this Twitter engage because I don't do this anymore. So I like this to be like as blank as possible. Um, this I made a docuseries called Billion Dollar Challenge last
Mhm.
year, and it is not properly contextualized for LinkedIn. It's kind of made like a Netflix show. And the problem with putting it on LinkedIn is that LinkedIn is not a sequential platform, meaning it might serve you episode 12 without serving you episode 1. So there's this problem where you don't know what you're watching. You don't know who I am. Alex says like you got to treat LinkedIn as if it's a brand new post every time. And your hook has to be a massively credibility building statement, and it's got to capture people and it's got to like get them to read more, right? So, but still, when I made that docuseries last year, I had about 20% of the audience, and they were about 20% as thirsty for my content as they are now. Right now, because I was making content for ecom people and not for B2B people. So, and I wasn't an ecom person, and I am a B2B person. So we're like doing weekly calls to gather information for a season of Billion Dollar Challenge that will get produced later in the year. So that's what that hour is about. The other hour is my inbound let outbound workshop weekly, which you were commenting on before we started. We just started doing this like a month ago. And either myself or Santosh will speak about whatever topic And we'll take, 20, 30 minutes, and then we'll take questions from people. So I think that's great. It's really just like a community event. Like we have like the first week, a ton of people showed up on LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn, I think, just pushed it to a lot of people, and there were 1,300 people on LinkedIn Live. But we typically have like 100 to 300 people in a Zoom call that are like listening to us talk about, like, the first episode was what is inbound led outbound. The second was how I bootstrapped 22 million ARR. The third was Santosh talking about the mechanics of exponential growth. The fourth was me talking about how I grew my LinkedIn following. Next week, Santosh is talking about the global domination mindset. And what we're really looking forward to is July 2nd, Andrew Ross, Aaron Ross, excuse me, the guy who wrote the book Predictable Revenue, which I always say predictable revenue is dead. He reached out to us and he wants to come on and defend that the predictable revenue model is not broken. So we're trying to have, he reached out to us. So
That's amazing.
it's amazing. Like, I can't even believe it. It's like a Don King, like Mike Tyson versus, George Floyd, whoever, right? Like Mike Tyson versus Evander
It is
Holyfield,
so
Mike
cool.
fight or whatever. So we're trying to have like this guy, John Barrows, moderate it, who's this like old dog sales influencer. And it'll be great. So the idea is Tuesday is I'm trying to get content that day. So, and I'm trying to, if there is the ability for me to fill it up with other people's podcasts, I will do that. And you'll see how that happened this week. I got 1, 2, 3 other podcasts on Tuesday. And I'm really just, so like, I'm trying to like I have, for me and where we're at and what I'm getting back from this, I'm trying to do like more of it than anything else. And anything that I can hand off, I'm trying to hand off. So like retention.com, which is this business that has 50 people, my co-founder Diana Ross runs it. And I'm basically dealing with things related to that mostly on Monday. The whole rest of the time, I'm trying to spend most of my time creating content and then deal with whatever product and marketing stuff is like related to our B2B that we're like trying to push out. So Tuesday, when there aren't these meetings, I will have been writing. I take Wednesday mornings off until like 11 to hang out with my 2-year-old daughter, which is great. And then I try to just like book podcasts or like, people need to talk, like, some of these like I just talked to an SEO agency before you're a podcast. This is another webinar. This is another podcast, this Brucey guy from Salesforce. Jason Bay, Anthony Natoli, those are just influencer guys I'm trying to make content with. So as you can see, like, so much of this schedule is related to content creation. And then it's almost like this white space, I'm just writing. Like whenever I don't have a meeting, like I'm trying to crank out a LinkedIn post. Like I cranked out one this morning about, so here's kind of like something that can happen. Like I hear the same question 4 or 5 times. So like over 5 times this week, I heard from people in various different ways. Isn't inbound led outbound just marketing? Great hook. Isn't inbound led outbound just marketing? Says every revenue leader in SaaS. Here's why they're wrong, right? And you just go into the whole thing, right? And my whole thing was like, look, each part of this is marketing, but the combination of it, of being like influencer led for B2B SaaS, given the fact that we're in this, like, I believe that we're in a new world where organic content is like 1,000 times more valuable than paid ads.
Okay,
Because
did you call it the last time Chris Walker era?
well, this is playbook, Chris Walker's
Okay.
playbook. So I'll stop sharing my screen. You get the point. So it's
No
like
worries. Yeah.
most of this schedule is either me making content or me trying to be on other people's podcasts or me like trying to collaborate with people to like make more content and get in front of their audience.
Well, I
Because
think
I
it,
feel like I'm in a unique position to do this, and it is more effective than anything else that anyone in our organization could do. the efficiency with which it spreads awareness is dumbfounding, in my opinion. Yeah, like I think that if I had $100 million and I couldn't post on my profile like I started writing for B2B in September. If you were like, you're not allowed to post, but you have $100 million to spend on creating awareness for our B2B, there would have been no way that it would be as it would not be what it is today. I have developed more trust and the awareness is higher than any ad campaign or sponsorship or whatever I could have done with that money could have done.
Well, that's incredible for me to see, because oftentimes, the majority of folks that I'm in touch with are either engineers or product managers, and you kind of get the grasp of these people and their concerns about LinkedIn and marketing in general. And just like seeing people from the field, such as yourself, who has been doing such an incredible job here with content creation, I would just like to dive into certain, let's say, rational excuses why people cannot copy your model, or just like hesitate to spend more time and more energy on LinkedIn. Are you ready to hear some stereotypes?
Yes.
Let's do it. I don't know what to write about.
So like, this is a type of objection that I categorize in the realm of it's just really hard to develop the muscle to create content. So like that's one part of it. It's like, and by the way, I used to work with a ghostwriter and then I switched to Alec, who's my consultant, and he's like, "You're gonna write." And I'm like, "Well, I'm paying you more than I was paying my ghostwriter." And he's like, "Still, this only works if you actually write. It's gonna suck in the beginning. It will be very natural to you before too long." And that's correct, right? It's like anything else. And the idea generation is similar to that, so it's like yeah, in the beginning, coming up with ideas is going to be very difficult. Writing is going to be very difficult. And then there's a 99% chance that it's going to take you a really long time to figure out what resonates with your audience that you can actually offer insights on. So it's a really shitty position to start from, to be honest. It's like, but any startup is that way, right? It's like everything is working against you in the beginning, which I think is why when people get successful, they are so successful, because it is like so difficult to do this. So my argument is start with a ghostwriter, work with them for a few months. They can help you with some of this stuff, right? Like if they understand what you do, what might you write about, right? And you can watch them write and you can see how they, if we're talking about LinkedIn, right? And like, uh, you know, I'm in this incredible situation. I always like to qualify this. It's like our B2B sells to salespeople and marketers and founders, all of whom spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. If you're selling to hospitals, you probably won't be able to systematically book demos through a LinkedIn profile. So you should probably try to tackle this in a different way, right? Like, I don't think building a massive LinkedIn founder brand is how you should harness organic social media in your favor. I don't know exactly how, because I've never done it, but like there are benefits still to having a LinkedIn profile for your company and having content being posted. It'll help your recruiting a lot. When anyone checks out your company, they'll check out the CEO. If you can like have something that's just communicating on an ongoing basis, your values and why you do what you do and who you are, whatever, people love that and it helps. It'll help your ecosystem. It'll make your brand, it'll raise the profile of your brand with tech partners and agency partners and all of that. It is not likely to drive business outcomes like I'm getting driven. So, but if you're in the situation I'm in, I would say get a ghostwriter and watch them write for a few months. And then if you get the content bug, like I did, because a lot of people say, I'm not sure exactly what this is doing for me, but it's doing something. And usually that means it's you know, inbound, not directly related to demos that you just weren't getting before because you're now live on this platform. If you get the content bug, then you can start to think, okay, you know, how do I make this my own? How do I make it, you know, what would be the path to attempting to make this great, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. Yeah, that's how I would overcome objection number one of I don't know what to write about.
Fantastic.
Get a ghostwriter is the short answer.
And I love it when you said this, just like sanity check, is my audience even there? Like how much effort, how much like sense does it make me to really invest that much time into it? So that was good. And also from your previous answer, just like answer the questions that you get all the time. I think this is a no-brainer. Okay, this one was apparently too easy for you. Let's push harder. I think most content on LinkedIn is really dumb. I don't want to post selfies.
I don't post selfies. You
True.
know? Yeah, so the interesting thing about you know, no one is seeing the content on LinkedIn. There's no way to see it. There's so much being created. I was talking to this guy who reached out to me, who I went to middle school with, actually. I knew him when we were like 12 or 13. He does healthcare sales, and he was showing me his LinkedIn feed, and it's all this like, he's Jewish, and it's all this like anti-Semitic pro-Palestine shit. It's so strange to me because I don't see any of that, you know? So, all that being said is, with these feeds, you get served something for God knows what reason, right? Like, it is not, whatever you're getting served is not indicative of what great LinkedIn content is. What I would say, you know, like, look for content creators in either your space or spaces tangential to them and look what they're putting out. It's probably not stupid. It's probably not selfies. If they're just employees of companies in your space, it might be stupid. It might be selfies. It might be like, oh, look at us at a dinner or whatever. But like, I think LinkedIn is the place where the deepest thought leadership gets put out because of who the audience is on LinkedIn and the fact that it is still a long form text based primarily platform. So yeah, that would be my rebuttal to that. I don't agree with it. I think that you should seek out the best content creators in your space, not the people with the highest number of followers on LinkedIn, because they're probably aggregating an audience that will allow them to sell ghostwriting services or courses or coaching or something else. That's not real. They are creating content that amasses the largest possible audience and does not amass an audience that is incredibly valuable to a business. Two totally different things.
100% agreed. And also when I'm talking with founders and more like technical people, I'm just like, don't follow Justin Welsh. I mean, this is not your audience. This is just like not something that we support this. So I always suggest you and Guillaume from Lemlist and a couple of other people who are founders, because I, as a content creator, I have to act differently than somebody who's promoting their software as a service or AI solution or something like that, right? So the game that we are playing is completely different because my feedback loop is literally on a daily basis with sales. And you sometimes probably see that a post converts after 2 years or something like that, right? The cycle, and just, I don't know how you are measuring these results, but okay, I mean, for free trial, of course, there is a fast feedback loop, but how do you make sense of this? What's your time to value?
You're going to hate this answer.
Go.
I don't really measure anything.
Okay. But aren't you using your own tool, for example?
Yeah. So like, very, very big picture directionally, we kind of have this scorecard that tracks signups and impressions and like whatever. But like, you know, the week that Sixth Sense happened, there were way more impressions and way more signups than 3 weeks later when there were a couple other big posts that weren't as like perfect for the audience, but had the same number of impressions and didn't lead to signups. And it's like, you know, here's the thing about it. For what I'm trying to, it's like, there's already so much evidence that this is working so much better than I could have ever imagined.
Great for you.
And
I'm so happy.
it is so motivating for me to just go even deeper into it. And the reasons why I think that it's working is because I believe that it's making people feel like they know me like a friend. So I'm trying to use that as like a fundamental principle in how I'm presenting myself on LinkedIn, in how I am engineering the actual content, make it so that, you know, I'm telling stories, I'm bringing people on the journey, I'm showing my face, like I'm making them feel like they're really a part of my life. Because I think that that is absolutely, it's like software is getting commoditized, whether you like it or not. What decommoditizes? Like, why can the Kardashians sell lipstick and be billionaires, right? Like, because hundreds of millions of people think that they are friends with the Kardashians. It's crazy, but it is fact. So you can't measure that. If I were trying to, if I started measuring stuff and taking things seriously and started trying to optimize for things that could be measured, my content would shift. I would start putting out stuff like Justin Welsh. You know, I would not care about video because it makes the reach lower, right? Like, so I would not be making a docuseries, you know, like I would not be trying to like start a YouTube channel and grow it soon, which is like kind of like the next thing. But all of this stuff, and by the way, like we're so early on that like, you know, I think if we were like 100 million ARR startup and I'm sitting here saying like, I don't measure anything, you're just like, you're stupid. But like when you're so early, I think it's not, you know, to be operating largely from your gut is like not a crazy thing, you know? But I do worry that like the most important things cannot be measured. And when you get people in who are running your entire company on metrics, the most important things lose relative value to the things that are far less important, but you can't measure. So
Interesting. No, I
yeah,
personally value this point, but it will be hard for me to convince my engineers
yeah. No, I mean
to
they
have the
don't. Yeah,
same.
most of them. But like Elon Musk, for instance,
Love it.
he knows the importance of things that can't be measured, right? Like
Mhm.
he knows the importance of spending time talking about the details of how Mars will be governed with his executive team at SpaceX, right? Like he's like lighting this fire inside of them that will like, you know, cause them to do better work and harder work for like the whole time they're working on that stuff, right? Just as an example of one thing that he really gets, like that you really can't measure. And I think he gets the power of being authentic, right? Like he doesn't hold back on Twitter and everybody calls him a fucking idiot for it and they, you know, whatever, but like he understands how valuable that is to like have an unfiltered, to have somebody who is so powerful as he is actually saying what they think, right? Like it cuts through. I mean, it's just it allows his message. Like Jeff Bezos is also sending people to space, but like not nearly as successfully as Elon is. And I think that's two examples of unmeasurable things that Elon gets that Jeff Bezos does not get at all, right? Like, yeah.
No, fantastic. I love you that you brought us these examples because they are super relatable at the end of the day. Like most people have big pride into being authentic and just like work on, let's say, cool shit, because we are here for intellectual curiosity as well. But sometimes that's rather hard to do. So let me present you another objection that I hear a lot, and I would love to hear your opinion about this. So for some founders, especially when they are starting out, it's it's very difficult to prioritize this investment in content creation because of certain trade-offs, right? They could be coding, they could be like working on a pitch deck, they could be like selling. And for them, it's very hard to prioritize.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you personally face this dilemma as well. What was your thought process?
I had the incredible good fortune of having an amazing team that I've handed nearly everything off to, as you can tell by my schedule.
Mhm.
Uh, Typically, when you're starting startups, everything is working against you. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that's working against you is you don't have that. You don't have an amazing team that will just do everything for you so you can dedicate your entire life to creating content, right? I think there is, look, it's almost like product market fit is kind of the only thing that matters. Like if you don't have product market fit, the audience is not relevant. But once you get it, your audience building skills, like it will amplify your product market fit so much if you can create organic social content versus if you cannot. So I think it is just an attitude that you have to, it's like what I would do, like the upside for learning that craft as you are building and sharing as an executive or leader of a company is so great, right? Like everything can be accelerated so much if you know how to wield the power of this organic social mechanism, that I believe that it's worth, you don't have to spend as much time as I am, but like I already have a product that has product market fit, right? And I already was good at it when this thing launched, right? Like, so that's why I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything else other than this thing that I know that I can crush at for this product that I know is crushing, right? But that's not what we're talking about with an early stage founder. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but I would try to at least, I mean, look, you're asking me what I would do. I would be chronicling the journey, right? Like,
Awesome.
you know, and then once your product gets traction, I might try to like level up what I was doing, right? But I would not try to be the best on LinkedIn as you're like trying to putz around and like figure out, but like, writing about the problems that you're solving, if you write in the right way, if the problems are real, you should be able to build an audience around it on some social network organically. Doesn't have to be LinkedIn, could be Twitter, could be whatever, right? Like, and in many cases, you don't have to like, there's this company, Triple Whale, in the Salesforce ecosystem.
Mhm.
They got to 20 million ARR or 25 million in like under 2 years, entirely social media based, entirely sort of founder led in coordination with some other Twitter guys. And their founders have 2,500, 3,000 followers, right? But they're the perfect followers. Every single one of them was a highly influential person in the Shopify ecosystem. And it enabled what they were talking about to spread rapidly. Um, so, so yeah, it's,
Fantastic.
yeah, it's just worth, it is worth making yourself a presence in whatever ecosystem you are operating in, wherever that takes place.
Perfect. And let's say that we are all hyped now and we said, yes, this makes sense. Let's create a habit out of this. And then we feel a little bit overwhelmed where to start. You beautifully explained your content creation schedule beforehand, but just like, let's say that we have, this is a hypothetical question, 1 hour a day to devote to LinkedIn plus these longer content creation slots, but one day to do everything, like to post, to engage,
Yeah.
and all the other things. How would you divide your time? What would you do? Like, how would you block it?
I mean, it's hard because like it's going to take you longer in the beginning to write a post than it will
Mm-hmm.
towards the end. If you have 1 hour a week, is that what you're saying, or one
No,
hour
no,
a
a
day?
day, a day.
Yeah. If like I would spend a couple of days, I would spend maybe Monday and Thursday, like using that time to write, whether it's Twitter LinkedIn or whatever. If it's Twitter, schedule some tweets. If it's LinkedIn, it's writing. And I would spend the other days, I would make a list of people in your ecosystem who are influential, and I would thoughtfully comment on their posts in a way that is not AI generated. I know who the AI people are who comment on my shit. It's annoying.
Do you talk with back to them?
Yeah, I like write AI question mark. And yeah, some people I'm like that. I don't even know what that question means, right? Like,
No, it's more likely a summary of your post.
yeah, exactly. It's like a summary, and they're like, well, what tools and what enablement tools measure this? I'm like, why are you asking me this when I wrote, whatever. I think that, so part of my audience building strategy and my human connection strategy is to try to comment back to every comment in a thoughtful way, kind of equally as thoughtful as the comment was, you know? I think if you have a list of 10 people in your space and you spend a few days a week commenting on their stuff, they might start commenting on your stuff, and you will slowly become known in the ecosystem that way.
Or you will at least earn as much karma that they would kind of start paying attention.
And by the way, like, I would start trying to like spend time trying to figure out why you believe certain content did well, right? Like Chris Walker is this guy in the marketing space. I ripped off his video playbook. I like going through his posts and be like, I wonder why, why do I think this one got 600 likes and his other one got 150? Is it the hook? Is it the topic, right? Is it the template that he used? Is it like, why is it the close? Like, why do I think this did well and this did not, and I would I would pick a few guys or a few people, men or women, and I would just look at like a lot of their stuff. Because Chris, when I did this, I think he's a master at this. I think the guy only talks about like 5 things, and he's been talking about the same 5 things for 7 years. But he's so good at making you think you're reading something new, even though it's the same shit. Clarifying my thoughts on multi-touch attribution. It's like after you've read 50 Chris Walker posts, you're like, that's a multi-touch attribution. Yeah, that's a multi-touch attribution post. Okay, that's a dark funnel post. Okay, that is a here's why paid ads don't work, post. Like that. He's got these topics because, like, I think how it works with him is that those topics hit, and then he's got this community of people who are super fans that have formed around those ideas. He brings them to a weekly event, and then they just asked him questions in more depth about the same ideas that he got them to believe in the first place. Nice. Which just creates this loop, but yeah, I think it will demystify a lot of the biggest players if you do that, if you really study over time what they're putting out. I think my stuff's a little bit more diverse because of the approach that I take. I think the fact that I use Alec, Chris doesn't. He doesn't have this expensive consultant who's like helping him navigate this. Like, he does it all himself. It's a lot cheaper, but I think his effort, he's so good at it, but it is narrower than mine. It is somewhat less ambitious than mine. Yeah.
Fantastic. No, and the other strategy that I very much like about you is just like your relationship with Santosh, right? With your co-founder. And it is so incredible for me to analyze this because I was doing this analysis myself. So I analyzed 200 posts or something like that. And you guys are just like perfectly aligned. For every post, you are supporting each other. Then you always give him like a shout out. And it is just like such a healthy relationship relationship, such a synergistic relationship. And I know a lot of founders who are like, if I build another person in the company, then there will be cannibalization. What if somebody poaches them or something like that? So what's your rationale? What's your reasoning behind being so together stronger?
So there is, I don't think you could speak to somebody who really understands LinkedIn that would say it's not more helpful for your business to have more people posting, because it just like widens the attack surface, and everybody's got the view my website in their link, which is like our only source of traffic for our B2B. It's crazy. Um, so people are trying to poach Santos all the time, literally. Like, but he's like the most valuable guy in B2B data. He thinks what we're doing is so interesting that he's unwilling to work anywhere else until it plays out. Once it plays out and the conclusion is obvious, I think somebody's going to hire him to be a CEO of some rocket ship data company and he'll go do it. But it's fine. I think I have, as much time as we're still like being really experimental with this new model and like he's having a good time or whatever, he's not leaving. So one thing, like something that I pitched Pete, who I hired, who I'm trying to like get posting, and this guy, Rob Clark, who's like building this like self-serve support engine for us. Like, I want them to develop this skill and develop an audience because it will make them more valuable in their next job. Like, here's my view about talent. Nothing will make someone more likely to take a job with me than knowing that when you take a job with me 2 or 3 years later, you are likely to get a much better job, right? If they know they can come here and learn the skill that we're talking about also, because we know how to do it, which is like, I can credibly say that like we can help them. That is like a huge added bonus because it's like a skill that is something that we're benefiting from a little, but like they're benefiting from a lot, like it's a forever skill. It's a forever value. So that's my attitude towards it. I think, you know, if it could fit in everybody's job to post all the time and to spend as much time on content as I do, like I would do that. But like the reality is they actually have work they need to do. So they can't, but they totally, that's just what I think about it. That
Perfect.
it can only help you and it really helps them. And I don't believe this is just philosophical. I think people getting poached from me is good.
Definitely. But as a leader, you're leading with example. But sometimes, it can happen that people, very good people in companies, might have these privacy issues, slash, this is my profile, not company's profile. Did that ever happen to you or not really part of your culture?
Uh, Ask that again.
Yeah,
So
sure thing, sure thing. So let's say that you build this, let's say, internal awareness, how important it is to be on LinkedIn, create content or something like that. And then somebody comes and say, no, this is my private stuff. I don't want to engage this with my personal profile. How would you react as a leader?
So it's a recommendation. At this point, it's a recommendation, not a requirement. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if you guys don't, so like, first of all, I think building up a personal profile is so much easier than building a company profile. It's like 10 times easier to build up a person in the company. Why? Because people are on social networks to connect with people, not companies. Um, if someone doesn't want to do it, great. But if we were hiring someone and it was necessary for the role, we wouldn't hire them. You know, if we, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, it's
like
a
these
requirement.
aren't
This
like
is what gets job
necessary. Yeah,
done.
these aren't like, but like I'm strongly encouraging them to do it for their benefit. If they don't see that and they don't want to go down that road, it's like that's kind of your loss. We'll be fine, but like there's no reason to, you know, to yeah, it's up to them.
Perfect. I very much like this. This is like fair and square answer. So let's touch outbound a little bit and just like
Yeah.
making sure that if we capture like good leads on LinkedIn, that we don't cringe them with DMing them. Hi, I see you visited my website.
Pitch
So
slap, right? Like that's the phrase. We don't pitch slap them.
that's it. That's it. So please explain us a little bit about your tool that can just like provide us this intel who visits our page and then their LinkedIn profiles. And once we have this data, how to be reasonable about them.
Yeah. So like my tool, it's for your website, not your LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
So like you put the pixel on your site, and when someone hits your site and they don't fill out a form or anything, we will resolve that to a LinkedIn profile and a business email and push it to Slack. And it's a freemium offer. So it's like free, totally free, unlimited for a month. After a month, we sort of cap it for, 85, 90% of people are free. The top 10% have to pay us something. So that's the motion. The question everybody wonders is, as you suggested, isn't this creepy? Like, how do I reach out to them? Whatever. So I have been selling a tech just like this to the e-com space for 5 years. They all thought the same thing. What I suggest, what I firmly believe, having seen thousands of people do it over there, is that getting an email or some type of outreach or a message from a website that you were on is not an infuriating event in 2024. There is you know what I mean? It's people get retargeted all the time. Like they're kind of used to it. I think that there's some, look, if you reach out 1 second after they were on the site, they're going to 100% connected to that site visit. If you wait 2 hours, they probably forgot that they went to your site in the first place, right? I wouldn't wait a day, because I think they might have forgotten about your brand altogether. I mean, that's just the way the time works in the internet. If you wait a week, they've literally never heard of you on positive of it, right? So like, I think there's some magic amount of time you should wait, like in the single digit hours, right? And you can automate all of this. And then what I would do with these people is exactly what you would do to book an outbound demo. Same exact process. If you use phones, use phones. If you use a LinkedIn Connect and a LinkedIn message and a cold email sequence, I would do those 3 things. I would do exactly the same playbook as you run to book outbound demos. If you can't book an outbound demo, then our B2B will not help you book outbound demos. It is not a tool that teaches you how to find a sales model. It is not a tool that helps you with product market fit. Once you have a sales machine in place, it will provide you with the best leads of any that you are contacting. And it will make all of the channels that you're using to drive traffic to your website work more efficiently. That's what it'll do. So yeah. We got a bunch of sort of suggestions, other people's playbooks, whatever, on our website in the support docs. It's like engagement tools or whatever. So you can check that out for sure.
Super. We
But
definitely have to link
it's
it.
pretty straightforward though. It's like just do what you're doing that is working, right?
Fantastic. And then like, sorry to ask you this, but would it be possible to like use your tool with some sort of VPN from Europe? Because as I was just like checking out Airbnb, I was like, cool, but I'm from Europe and it's a US websites only. Is there any way to bypass
Yeah.
this?
So like, it's very hard to explain this without scaring people. We do not identify EU traffic because of GDPR, because what we do is not compliant with GDPR. However, if you are a European company and you have US traffic, this will not put you out of GDPR compliance. There is one very sort of like long tail niche, like a CISO loves to make the argument that like if there's no US nexus, then maybe it does. But here's the thing. Europe is not seeking to regulate a US technology on US soil that has US data subjects. If a US data subject is not going to complain to the EU about a European company doing this, right? So
Mm-mm.
the actual risk of enforcement of this tech, even in this fringe case where you say I'm entirely Europe and this does make me not compliant, I can't be doing this, it is zero, right? So the long story short is GDPR does not apply because this only works in the US on US soil, and we only have US data subjects in our in our database. So we're not going to give you someone who's a European citizen. The next objection is like, well, what if they're traveling in the US? Or what if they live in the US? GDPR does not cover European citizens who are not in the physical EU. That is a misunderstanding also.
Yeah,
Even
I
if it
guess
did,
that you
we
get asked
only,
this a lot.
huh?
Do you get that asked this a lot?
So like with the e-commerce product,
Hmm.
the battle was there was this major misunderstanding about the US can spam law. Everyone thought that can spam was opt out. Sorry, everyone thought that it was the law that you couldn't send email on the consumer side to someone who had not opted in because the email marketing ecosystem had marketed that well. Everyone believed that. That's not actually the law. The law is you have to have an opt-out link in your email. So it's opt-out, not opt-in. This GDPR thing is just kind of a similar battle. It's like people, like kind of like a Series B, Series C SaaS, the marketer will put it on the site and then the CEO will pull it off and the marketer will say, the CEO is scared of GDPR. He his buddy was saying something that this wasn't GDPR compliant in this marketing, in this RevOps chat that he's in, right? So it's just something I have to fight. It's like, okay, right, it's not GDPR compliant, but it doesn't put you out of GDPR compliance if you use it. It's not GDPR compliant because it's US only. So 100% of the people that I have spoken to on a call like this and explain that, they're like, sweet, I just want to make money and be a law-abiding citizen. I'm in.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I understand the fear if your peers are dropping things like this is not GDPR compliant in a chat room and they're pulling the script off. I get why people would do that, right? Like if you don't understand the nuance.
Yeah, seriously, like this GDPR here, sometimes it's almost the religious stage, and there are people who would just like hate any integration, and before they accept all cookies in the page, they cannot trigger any pixel or something like that. But I'm like, hey, let's do the work. But that was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant explanation. Thank you so much. I must maybe like carried away by the messaging on the website. So it was like for US only, and I was like, ah, from Europe. So I really gotta ask this. Now I understand. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Look, the very last question that I have is more of an open mic thing. So you already illustrated where you think this landscape is evolving, what is the new economy all about, but what are kind of your personal thoughts and ambition, just like open mic, freestyle, whatever you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I'm just really interested in how outbound sales is changing because I personally believe that response rates, there's two sides of it, which will make them trend towards zero. It's like so much more is going out because of automation. And then so much is being blocked because of how much is going out. So it's just going to make it so hard to do this type of inside sales outreach that has been the growth engine for the most part for a lot of these companies for a long time. And it's part of it will go back to field sales, which is I have a target account list. Yeah, we're going to this event. I'm going to arrange a meetup with this person through this other person that I know in the real world. That'll never go away, right? And I think this other part of it, which is kind of the inbound led outbound thesis, is if you exist in a space where you can be an influencer and you can create a lot of content that will drive people to your site and your profile can actually do the engagement, that's really interesting to me. And I think it still thrives in a zero response rate environment because I still believe that people who engage with me, I think you would answer an email from me, even if it was salesy,
You know,
right?
shit, yes. I would be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
wow,
yeah.
he knows
Or
I
you,
exist.
yeah, or you'd answer a LinkedIn message, right? But Pete, who works for me, I don't think you'd answer an email from Pete. You might because it's our B2B, but you wouldn't be as excited about it. You know what I mean? So I'm just really interested in, and the interesting thing about that outreach through the profile and through the personal brand is that I don't actually have to be on a call that gets booked, and the book rate is the same. It's
Wow.
strange. I can, yeah, if I message you and I'm like, yo, Pete's running this product discovery for me, we get on a call with Pete. It's like 100% book rate and an 100% show rate. So like the profile can be scaled beyond the hours that I have in the day, which is another reason why I'm so motivated to make this as big as possible, right? Like, because we made that observation.
It's
So
scalable. It became
yeah,
scalable.
totally. So it's like, I'm just very interested in seeing how big I can make this brand and like how many products we can sell through it and like how many platforms we can adapt to and all that stuff, because I'm just totally amazed by the fact that basically everybody in B2B knows what our B2B is, and we fucking launched the website 13 weeks ago, you know, like, and it's all
It's
because of
unseen.
this. Yeah. So yeah, that's what excites me about the future, is just living this journey. And then once it gets less exciting, Sancho's going to leave me and go be the CEO of somewhere more, some other bananas, like really cool company.
And thank you so much for sharing this journey with us. What
Of
should the
course.
listeners do apart from sending their AI-generated content to your posts? What's the better way to continue the conversation?
Yeah, just check out my LinkedIn. It's Adam Robinson, retention.com. Check out RB2B. Super cool. Check out all the stuff you can do with RB2B and Clay. It's amazing. Yeah, and just follow along. Hit me up. My email is adam@retention.com. I try to answer all my emails. Um, you know, yeah, that's all.
Sounds good. Thank you so much and good luck on your journey. I cannot wait to hear what's next to you because you have been breaking those records continuously. So much looking forward to continue following you. Take care. Ciao.
Bye.